Hi guys, welcome to the channel and welcome to another video. Today we have an amazing Subaru BRZ. I'm very excited for this one. We're going to talk a little bit about the exterior, the engine, the interior, and then we're going to take it for a quick drive and see how it drives and how it handles. The reviews that you read online sound amazing, and this is, in my opinion, one of the most important cars so far in this decade, and I'm going to tell you why. So let's jump into it. Alright guys, so talking about design and how it looks, and to be honest, I think this is such a very good looking, very handsome car, to be honest. Such a small package. It is a small car, right? So front engine, rear wheel drive, but it's compact and it looks, quite apart, to be honest. Such a detour from the previous generation. I personally feel the first generation was a bit of a mixed bag. You either love it or you don't. This one, I think it's a lot more cohesive, it's more consensual, and to be honest, a lot more modern. So I do like it very much. Okay, so starting with the headlights, super cool, very simple, nothing crazy going on here, but I do like, the simplicity of the lines, so very cool. Coming to the bottom, you have a little bit of a splitter here. So this car is full OEM, obviously, so nothing has been changed so far. So we have a very nice splitter here, which looks very cool. So have some intake here to cool the brakes, which looks very nice as well. Very functional and very assertive to its purpose. So I do like that. Huge Subaru logo here in the front, so to tell everyone what this is about. And obviously one of the things with the Boxer engine is the fact that it sits very low. We're going to look at it in a second, but by sitting very low, your hood and the whole front is also very, very low, and I like that. So the car sits very low to the ground, also thanks to the engine itself. So you can see here, very clean hood. It is made of aluminum, so the hood, the top and the back trunk are aluminum, so weight saving happening here, guys, which is really cool. So it shows the purpose of what we have here in hands. So clean lines here. We have a little bit of a crease happening here in the hood. You can't really tell with this paint job, but we have a little bit of a crease. Coming to the side, love the wheels. So this is kind of inspired, if not the same, as the GR86 and the GR Yaris and the GR Supra. So they are all very similar. I believe they're actually the same design, although in the smaller size. We have Michelin Pilot Sport happening here, which is a competent tire for this sort of horsepower. So keeping in mind we have 230 horsepower. So it's more about the handling than anything else. So very nice design here. Normal brakes, definitely something that we can upgrade later, but normal brakes works very well. Continue here on the back. We have a little bit of a vent here, which is actually functional, which is cool. So it keeps the pressure down in the wheel, which is really cool. I do like that. It's very, very nice. All right, so coming to the middle section here, the one thing that you immediately can tell is this side skirt design here, which is probably my favorite design cue of this car. I just love how this kind of crease merges into the section, the back section here. So we have this very pronounced actually side skirt, but then it just smooths out and it just ends in this back wheel. So I really like this design cue here on the side. So the door has no creases, it's completely smooth, which is simple but nice. The keyhole is exposed, which, you know, is a little bit annoying. I don't quite like that. You could have covered this because obviously the car has quick access, but anyways, it's just there. I think for the most of it, this car is about cost saving, weight saving, is about giving you a lot by not a lot of money in return. So let's keep in mind this is about 140,000 dirhams, which is roughly 30,000 USD, roughly, depending on the market, of course. So there's a couple of things that, you know, it's a clear sign of, you know, cost conscious decisions. We'll talk about why in a second. So the back window, very cool, very nice angle here as well. So it's a little bit of a fastback, kind of reminiscent of old cars, and I like that very much, super cool. There's a little bit of a hump here over the back wheel, so it kind of gives you a sense of a little bit more of a pose, a little bit more muscular as well, which is cool. I think you can see it on certain angles. There's a very defined crease line here ending in the taillight, and I really like the design of the taillights, by the way. Super cool, kind of inspired by the previous generation, but kind of 3D effect with a little bit more depth on the side as well. There's a reflector, which is really cool. I really like this hint of design here. On the back wheel, I have something here that, you know, to be honest, I have some doubts, which is this little piece of plastic that covers only a portion of the wheel arch. I'm not entirely sure the why, but perhaps has to do with the airflow and kind of how it matches the side skirt. I am not sure. It does look different. It does look somehow cool. I'm not so sure why it ends like this, and also, you know, the chips can kind of come from the tire to the paint. I am not entirely sure, but anyways, that's a design cue here, so we'll take it as is. So the full back side of the car, you know, it's dominated obviously by the taillights and by the beautiful Subaru logo. I think we all love this logo as it's reminding you of, you know, the Imprezas of the past. Absolutely love to see a new car with this logo. We have this kind of line happening here. I don't think it's a tail light situation, but we have a little bit of a line, which is cool, very contemporary, very modern. We have the button to open the trunk, and we have the camera here. So they are kind of all centered here. In terms of design, the camera could have been somewhere else perhaps, but you know, it's there. I'm sure it works quite well, so we'll have a look in a moment. Coming further down to the bottom, we have the reverse lights, the fog lights right in the center, so that's a very cool look. Surrounded by two exhausts on both sides. They look quite good, although you can see that, you know, the tips are a little bit wider than the actual exhaust. So it's fine, obviously, it's a 2.4 liter, so there's not a lot of horsepower or displacement to exhaust, but they do look quite good. And you can see how we have space around the bumper. So obviously one of the first things you can do is just replace your exhaust, and you can actually have a little bit more of a exhaust system, and you know, you can increase the diameter there. So that is on purpose, I feel, which is absolutely fine. Okay guys, so now coming to the engine, and I think it's probably the most interesting bit of the car. We really need to spend a little time here and just think about and consider why this car is so important, and especially why this engine is so important, right? So Subaru developed engine, Boxer, so keeping, you know, all the tradition of Subaru engineering, and I do love that very much. You can see Subaru logo, but you also can see Toyota logo, so that's actually pretty cool. So we have a 4-cylinder, 2.4 liter capacity Boxer, so the cylinders are opposed, so you have two cylinders on each side. They are literally stroking on the opposite ends, so that's really interesting. So this engine is very particular and very different from your everyday car, so much so that you can see how low it sits. So usually you have the engine that sits a little bit taller than the actual bonnet, and usually the bonnet goes about it. So here you can see how it's slammed down to the ground as further down as possible. It's pretty much lower than the strut bars here, the strut towers here. So it's really standing low to the ground, which makes obviously the center of gravity of the car really be slammed, and that contributes obviously to the way the car handles. So the engine 2.4, as I mentioned, so 230 horsepower, which is a very interesting figure, considering that it's, you know, front engine, back rear wheel drive, so, you know, a proper sports car sort of attitude. And this engine is very happy to rev, so it's naturally aspirated, but that's a reason, so they can rev freely. So this car is meant to be revved, so it's built in that way. All the internals components are built in that sense. We have a little bit of a strut support here, which instead of going across actually fixed here to the center. Haven't seen that one before, but it's really cool, you know, because it just adds a little bit more of character here. Now, why does this engine and why does this car matter? I think essentially this car has brought back the compact sports car that you've seen in the 80s, in the 90s. So for a long period of time, we didn't have that. This car, the previous generation of this car did bring that up again and did bring that to the market again. A very interesting price point, amazing handling. Okay, not a lot of horsepower, but this is a car for you to start. This is a car for you to get into sports car, into motorsports, into whatever you want to do with an actual driver's car. So this brought that to the market for a very reasonable price point, right? Thanks to this car, and obviously to Toyota's counterpart, you have the GR Yaris, you have the GR Supra, and you have like a million other affordable or a little bit more mass market cars that you didn't have it before. So I think kudos to Subaru, kudos to Toyota for bringing this back to the market, giving us an affordable sports car that everyone can drive and enjoy and not be afraid of. I think this is phenomenal. So let's have a look inside as well. Okay, so key, very simple, a little bit of aluminum feel here on the side. 2 buttons only with a little Subaru logo. So we have lock on the top, we have unlock and trunk open here on the bottom. So let's go ahead and climb inside and see what we have. So coming to the car, it's a black interior, as we can see, with some red accents that we're going to cover in a bit. Door sills, quite interesting, although we have some plastic bits here. It would be nice to see this in aluminum. I again understand the cost and weight savings. Plastic, not so sure, but we have it here. So the seal, as we can see, and as we mentioned before, the fact that this design cue kind of, you know, is present makes, you know, when you're entering, perhaps you're going to bump here a little bit, depending on your style of entering the car. But still, it's all right and it's okay. So well designed. I can see the purpose all around. I love the red stitching happening. So the seats, very good, very comfortable, very supportive on your shoulders, which, you know, it's surprising actually. We have some red stitching and red kind of decals here on the center on both top and bottom, so that is very nice. Seats are Alcantara with a little bit of, I think, synthetic leather or Nappa. I think that's very okay. I do like the fact that the seats in the center are quite flat, quite comfortable actually. Overall design and layout, very good. Simple, not a lot of details going around here. Material quality, we have a little bit of plastic happening here. So we have some squeegee on the top, which feels good. Here it starts to get a little bit more scratchy, but you know, overall it looks very okay. Naturally, when you start to come down, you start to feel the materials a little bit of less quality, but overall I am impressed for sure. We have a little bit of leather here on the top as well, which is cool. Steering wheel looks very nice. I can see all the buttons here. Buttons are very small, which is interesting, but they are quite small, at least smaller than what I would expect. So everything is quite compact. Even the shift paddles here, this little stalk, everything is quite small and compact. So that is a little interesting point here. Steering wheel size, again, is a small diameter. let's see how it drives and how it feels when you're driving, but other than that, it's fine. We have a manual parking brake, which is something that you don't see very often. So this car still has it. I think the Subaru and Toyota do know the type of client they will have, so that's very interesting to see as well. Gear lever, it kind of looks like a manual, and for a second I actually thought this was a manual, to be honest. So it's a full automatic, this one. It does look very cool. I love the fact that it mimics a manual, so that is cool, and I love the little leather wrapping around it, so that's super, super nice. So coming here, we have the most important section here in the center console in the bottom, and very easy to access when you are driving. So you have stability control off, we have a couple of modes, sport, snow, and we have a full track mode happening here. So that is very cool. It's very accessible, so they know the type of clients, they know how to make this accessible and easy to navigate to a beginner driver, so it's very nice to see it here. Talking about the gear lever or the shift lever, very cool. We have a manual operation here as well, so we have some paddles here in the steering wheel. Then we have some AC controls, we have some plastic buttons, but they do feel and they do look like metal, which is nice. We have physical control of the AC, which is cool, so we don't have to, go into the navigation system to just try to get some AC going on. So this is all very accessible from here, so I like that a lot. On the side of the AC controls, you have your engine start stop, very clearly labeled, so there's no mistakes there. The central infotainment, it looks kind of an add-on, to be honest. It looks a little bit of afterthought. I would like to see this a little bit more integrated into the whole design, but again, we can excuse both Subaru and Toyota for not putting a lot of attention here. That is not the purpose of this car, so this is absolutely fine. So the infotainment is very simple. It's touch, it's a little bit slow and sluggish, but that's okay, we can excuse it. You do have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with cable, so it's not wireless, but essentially that's what you're going to be using. A couple of air vents on the sides. I like the side air vents, they look very cool, like the round design. Here in the center, not so much, because they are a little bit small and a little bit more simple of look, but that's okay, not too bad. Glove box, it's big enough, I guess, so you can store some stuff there, so that's okay. Again, the plastic feel, not so sure, but again, price point, it's okay. Carpets, very simple, nothing too crazy, just do the job. The seats, we need to talk about the seats, because although they look fantastic, and to be honest, they are highly impressive in terms of comfort, I am actually very impressed. They are manual, so we don't have full automatic or full electric seats, it's manual only, which again we can excuse and we can be okay with, given the cost saving or the cost conscious nature of this car, so that is absolutely fine. Headliner, it's black, but it's not Alcantara, it's a sort of fabric that, to be honest, feels like felter or something. I am not super sure about it. It looks okay. The touch and feel is, could be better, but it's not something that will annoy you too much. Sun visors, nice, big, a little mirror here as well with some illumination, so that's good. The rear view mirror, decent size, and we actually have a good amount of visibility here through the front, so it looks very nice. A-pillars quite small. The window is closer to you as well, so you don't have a lot of an angle happening, so it's easy to see out. You have a very good visibility actually. So that's your interior in the front, so let's check the back now. Okay, so coming to the back seats, the access, actually it's not as bad as you would think if you push the seat forward, the front seat forward. It's actually okay. Now naturally this is just for kids or just for very short trips. I do like that they still put the effort, have Alcantara here on the center, have the red stitching. Kind of reminds me of the, Porsche 911 in the sense of how big they are. It's very nice to see it here. We have some Isofix here, so we can put some baby chairs here in the back, so they're easy to find as well. So, if you're a couple, if you're a young parent and you still like your sports car, I mean, this is something that you should consider, because you do have the back seats and you can put the chair in. So something to keep in mind. So this is very cool. I like it very, very, very much. So that's your full interior. Let's have a look in the trunk now. Okay, so now talking about storage and the back storage particularly. The first thing you notice, actually two first things. This is a very, very narrow entrance to the boot. A little bit too narrow, if I'm honest. And immediately after that, you have a tire, which is exposed in the trunk. Why? Honestly, this is a little bit of a bummer. You do have some storage once you navigate the entrance and you navigate this situation here with the tire. You actually have some decent storage, not a lot, but for a couple of suitcases or for your day-to-day activities, shopping, whatever, it's fine. This, not so sure. Obviously, you can put stuff in here, so adds to the practicality. But either put it elsewhere, cover it. I don't know. I'm not so sure, and to be honest, it's a little bit of a shame. Other than that, as I mentioned, the Xerxes is probably not the easiest one, but it's easy to operate, and it's all okay considering the nature of the car. So being a sports car, you can't expect this to be your weekend car to carry 7 people, obviously. So this is absolutely Okay, so driving the Subaru BRZ 2023. First impressions, good handling, actually better than expected, but then again, boxer engine, low center of gravity, so all of these things say, this car has a purpose, and it does feel like a purposeful car. So kudos to that Subaru, very nice. Engine, so the engine obviously it does not have a turbo, right? So to get power, you need to rev, and that's the point, right? You need to rev it to feel the power, and the sound becomes actually quite interesting when you start to do that. Low revs, it does feel like a normal engine. It doesn't have a lot of sound going on, so I guess you can live with this fairly okay. If you want to go fast, then obviously you need to wait for the power to come in. There's some power reserve in the upper 6,000 to 7,000. The car is very happy to rev, by the way. So the tachymeter marks 9,000 with the red line at 7.5, which, it's good. It's very good, actually. I do like the sound when it goes up in the higher revs, for sure. It's very interesting. Gearbox, compliant, not too fast, not too slow, just compliant enough. If we go into manual, there's a little bit of a delay. But the car definitely goes. It doesn't feel fast in a straight line. This car definitely is not meant to do that. In terms of day-to-day usability, I think this car would be a phenomenal choice, to be quite honest. I love the fact that it has the back seats, the sound, the agility and the way that it drives and turns into the curves. I think it's really, really interesting, really good for this price point. So definitely surprised with that, guys. In terms of being a sports car, it's a track car. It's something that definitely can have a very important role in bringing you up to speed in terms of, how to drive in a circuit, how to drive a rear-wheel drive car in a sporty manner. It's not scary. It's not something that's trying to kill you. It's actually very compliant, very docile. It drives really well. Kind of puts a smile in my face because there's an authentic sports car feel in here, and I'm just glad that these sort of cars are still being produced. So this is a little treasure, a little joy, and I wish more people can come and experience this, and maybe have this car as a starting car for something else. But what an amazing piece of engineering here. Very, very good. Alright guys, so this was the Subaru BRZ. Final thoughts on this. Well, for one, I think for the type of money that we're talking about here and the type of return that you get it, phenomenal. So we're talking about $30,000 or 140,000 dirhams in this market. It looks amazing. It drives well. Actually, the handling is quite impressive. The engine, it would be nice if I had a little bit more power, but then again, that will be a different car, right? With more power, we're talking, I don't know, Supras, Nissan Z, we're talking different cars. So this is kind of okay in terms of power. The handling is phenomenal. So this is something that is literally the strong point of this car. Now the looks, I think it's a looker for sure. It looks very well. I'm not sure how it's gonna age because we saw the first gen also looked quite well when they came out, and then started to feel a little bit dated. I don't think that will be the case here. I think it's a more serious look in that sense, and I think that's gonna age quite well. Should you get the car? Should you buy it? What should you do? I think if you have a limited-ish budget, you should consider it for sure. The 4 seats or the 2+2 seat arrangement is very nice. Obviously, only if you have children in the back. You can't put an adult there. So if you have a family, being this the only car, absolutely not. If you are a young couple, if you're just now starting off, I think yes, this is a very, very good choice. The materials are good, handling is good, interior is good, price is amazing, and in return you get something like a platform, a car, that will teach you how to drive fast, how to drive, a rear-wheel drive car, how to, tackle the handles and, tackle the curves and tackle the circuits. I think this could be really interesting for you to develop your skills. So there you have it, the BRZ, very cool car.